had the privilege of memorizing chunks of scripture. I would absolutely not put myself up as somebody who's the expert on memorizing scripture. I have a terrible time memorizing Psalms, for instance. But I kind of live in narrative portions of scripture, and I've memorized books, Jonah, Ruth, Esther. I dramatize Genesis 1 with some frequency. And I have found that there are some great benefits to that. One is that you have to really pay attention to the actual words. Often when I read a Bible passage, I'll come away and I'll have a vague impression of what it was about, but that's about it. And it often doesn't stay with me well. But when I have to memorize something to act out, I have to pay attention to the exact words. And I think carefully about, okay, why this word and not another one? Why this order of words? Why did the author put this clause before the other? I might have done it the other way around. As you really get down into the details, and for me at least, it helps me understand it much better. I feel that I have a better handle on the text. There's absolutely a place for reading huge passages of scripture at a sitting. Read the whole book of Isaiah. Read 1 Corinthians, read it twice, read it 3 times. But there's also a time to really pay attention to the fine points of the text. And it's been very valuable to me to memorize text that way. Because I'm doing narrative, I'm often working with characters in tough situations. And so in order to portray the character as accurately as I can, I have to really think about, okay, what's going on here? What is the situation? What is this person facing? How are they feeling about it? How are they reacting? Where is faith? Where is the Lord in this? Where are the pressure points in this person's life? And how is God meeting them in those situations? And that, I think, has given me a better feel for those passages, better understanding them, and a better understanding of the Lord in seeing how he has met those people, real people, ordinary people just like me, who know a great God. But the other thing is that I have noticed, having memorized passages like that I do more easily hear echoes to other scripture passages. Sometimes in commentaries you'll hear people say, well, when so-and-so wrote this passage in the New Testament, this little short phrase, he probably was alluding to such and such an Old Testament passage. And I have to admit to having been a little skeptical in the past, that's a very common phrase. What makes you think it has to be from that passage back there? But once I have memorized a text and really lived it and owned it, I find that if I hear even a little short snippet somewhere else, it does immediately take me back to that text. So I wouldn't be surprised that that's exactly what was going on with the New Testament writers. Even in short passages that are just allusions and not quotes, I think they may well have had the Old Testament text in mind. And then this is a side benefit. This may not benefit everyone, but it's been great for me. I have a hard time following Paul. I just, the man doesn't seem to be able to stay on one thought and follow it through to the end. He's off on a tangent. He's following a rabbit trail. And I have wondered why the Lord didn't give him an editor, but he didn't. But I have struggled to follow Paul, follow his logic. But one time I was asked to act out 2 or 3 chapters of one of his letters, don't remember which one. And I found that when I had to put myself inside Paul's head, it helped amazingly. Because I thought, okay, I'm saying such and such and such, and then why would I go off on this rabbit trail? Oh, well, maybe it's because of X, Y, Z. And then I understand now what brought me back to the original train of thought. So it has been invaluable to me in trying to follow Paul and understand the flow of his arguments, to pretend I'm Paul, and to memorize it. Not just read it. I mean, you can get so far reading it, but to really memorize it and then have to deliver it as if I'm Paul has shed a lot of light on his writings for me.